Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Steven, and Buddy. Oh, okay. Oh, not in the laptop. Nope, nope, nope. No, honey, no. Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Steven. That was Buddy. That's Claire right there. Eleanor is somewhere. All right, so hi. Oh. Cats. Buddy is being very vocal tonight. If you hear him crying, it is because he wants to go outside. And as you can see, it is dark out. He is black, and it makes it impossible to find him when I want him to come inside. And I don't want him out too late at night. So I was about to go into a whole pity party about my sob story about how it's been 20 days. I'm trapped in this studio. This is my whole apartment pretty much. Without another human being around outside of a Zoom recovery meeting and the guy at the grocery store or the woman at the post office. I see her once in a while too. I was about to go into this whole pity party about how difficult it is and how I'm going crazy because I'm all by myself and blah, blah, blah. I guess I do say that a lot, don't I? Blah, blah, blah. You'll see about that in a moment. This t-shirt I'm wearing. I do, blah, blah, blah. I was about to go into this whole pity party, and then I'm thinking, what a luxury I have right now. I'm in a studio apartment. Yes, it's small. Yes, I'm trapped with 3 cats. Yes, I'm becoming a cat myself. I slept for 12 hours yesterday. But there are so many people in my neighborhood that are homeless right now. Can you imagine being homeless right now? There are lots of people in very difficult situations, and here I am. I was about to start complaining heartily about how difficult my life is. I have enough money in the bank right now to handle the next couple months. I have lots of food, and I'm surrounded by 3 cats that I adore. So I have no room to complain, although I was about to complain a lot. I do wish I had an apartment that was larger. I'm still complaining. I do wish I was in a larger place where I could actually leave a room. I would like to be able to walk out of a room into a different room. That would be nice. If I had purchased a bicycle, I was thinking about buying one a few months ago because spring in Vegas is great, and I would just bike out to like Red Rock or something, but I didn't buy it, and now I can't because Walmart was out. I went to Walmart, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, and they were all out of bikes and whatever. I wish I could just get out of this apartment, but I have to count my blessings, and I am super, super blessed right now. So let me stop complaining because blah, 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 right? So I mentioned blah, 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 and I laugh at how I actually do say that fairly often. I got a package from a subscriber, Phoenix. I did get my package, thank you. I did leave the house today for a little bit to go to the post office and to go to the grocery store. So Phoenix sent me, I know, I really can't get enough of these. They make me, they bring me joy. They bring me joy. I open up a package from somebody and I'm like, there's cat treats in there, I know it. And there are, and they make me happy. And the way things are going, I'm gonna be able to use these because it's just me and the cats. And they get more treats these days than usual. And Phoenix made me a t-shirt. Now, maybe one day I'll have some merch of my own. I guess these YouTubers, everyone sort of makes it finally when they have merch. And I'm like, what would I do? I don't think I could actually use the phrase fly safe. That's probably copyrighted or trademarked by somebody. So I doubt I could use the phrase fly safe because I really would. But I think Phoenix probably solved that quandary. Like, what would I put on my merchandise? Blah, blah, blah. And look at the image that's below. She said she got that. She said it, that reminded me of what I looked like in one of my videos about a 4-day trip because of my beard. But if you look at the eyebrows, I can do that. Have I ever done that for you? I can also wiggle my ears independently. I can wiggle this one without wiggling this one. Blah, blah, blah. This is a perfect time for me to say blah, blah, blah. So, the whole reason, thank you for my t-shirt. It just brought me gales of laughter out of me when I opened it up and I saw those eyebrows. I'm like, those are my eyebrows. So I figured, Amy, my friend Amy, sent me an email with a ton of questions, And you know, my question and answer videos can be fairly long when I only have 4 or 5 questions. So I'm only going to choose a few of these questions to do a little question and answer video for you. Some of them are going to require full-on videos, and the questions are all pretty great. They're all amazing. But like things like favorite travel hacks learned as a flight attendant, packing hacks, favorite things to do in Las Vegas, favorite things in my rollerboard, things I wish everyone knew in the industry understood. Those things I think all really require their own separate video. And hey, I have the time. And now that I'm a little bit more motivated, maybe I'll make those videos. So I figured I would touch on a couple of these questions, and because I think there's some fun questions here. So let's get started. All right, first question. Let's see. Of all the cities I've lived in, where were my favorites and my least favorites? Now, I have lived all over the place. I've lived in places like Avila Beach, California, which is this teeny tiny little beach town. I hated it. Oh, I hated that. I'm from Boston originally. You know, I've lived in Germany as a teenager for 4 years. We lived around Stuttgart, in Schönhausen, Esslingen, and Leonberg. Just great memories. My favorite would be Boston. I really have to say Boston's probably the best city in the country. It's got everything: culture, food, sports, not that I care so much, but it's just got everything. Unfortunately, it also has winter, and that for me is a big no-go. After as many years as I've been around, I just can't suffer winter anymore. I love Boston. The people I love are there. Cape Cod, like Provincetown, I haven't lived there, but Boston just has everything. It really does. It's an amazing place. Least favorite would be Tampa. Because, I think mainly because I was like homeless in Tampa, living in a minivan, sleeping in like Planet Fitness parking lots. So sexy. But they do have Busch Gardens, and I think Busch Gardens is one of the greatest little small amusement parks in the country. So, but Tampa would be my least favorite place. I just hated it. It's Florida, but it's got really no beaches to speak of. You have to go to St. Pete for those. I just don't like Tampa. It's not a great place. All right, another question. Best random acts of kindness that I've received, shared, or witnessed. So, you know, acts of kindness for me, typically lately, acts of kindness on my side typically revolve around the homeless or the low income. You know, my diet is what it is. I go to Subway all the time, McDonald's, places like that. And often enough, because I live in a very economically depressed neighborhood, there's a lot of homeless, a lot of people struggling. And if I go into one of these places and I've ordered food or I'm about to order food, and there's someone who's just counting pennies, or at the grocery store. This happens often enough at the grocery store too. If someone's at the grocery or McDonald's and they're counting pennies or coins to pay for something, if they're at the grocery store, or this has happened at CVS too, and I see them just scrounging coins to buy something to eat, and it might be a couple little Debbie cakes and Arizona iced tea or something, you know, I'll say, hey, can I get that? And often enough, it's like this deep sigh of like, oh my God, someone cares enough. Yeah. So sometimes I end up just buying meals at Subway. I've had subscribers, lovely subscribers, mail me a Subway gift card, one for me, and then one to help somebody else, because I just love that. I just love it. I've told the story of this guy, Lauren, who's homeless guy who he needed a lot of help. I ended up giving him one of my belts, you know, and it's just a sweetheart. And I've seen him twice. I don't know what's happening with him now. But just odds and ends. So if I see someone at the grocery store or at CVS and I know that they're homeless or struggling, I'll say, hey, you know, can I get that? And is there anything else you could use right now? And no one has ever gone, yeah, let me grab all of this stuff. Everyone's just been very mindful with their accepting of what I can give. So those are probably usually the ways I try to help out randomly. Shared, that would be it. I've received, the best act of random kindness that I've received. I hate to say it, the past 2 years I've received so many acts of random kindness that it's really startling to me, and it makes me question my worthiness. But back when I first got Buddy, this is January, 2 years, I guess almost 2 years ago, January, Buddy came into my life that November. In January, he got really sick. He had diarrhea awful, and there was blood in his poop, and he was just sick. And his vet bill was like $400 and something. And my subscribers, and I had a brand new channel. My subscribers leapt to my defense and my help. I would get to my post office box and there'd be a card with a $20 bill in it, or a check for $50, or one woman who sent me these pillows that I use almost every day, sent me $100, and I don't think she was financially in a situation where she should have sent me $100. But I was able to take care of my cat. And then when he got fixed, that bill was crazy, and subscribers helped me out. When I first met Eleanor and had to take her to the vet, her bill was like $270 something, and that was just going to be a challenge for me. And then suddenly, out of the blue, people helped me out with that. The biggest one, and those are all impactful because they took care of my cats, which are my life. But one of my subscribers just last month, was it last month? Did something for me, knowing that this summer is going to be really challenging financially, because I'm not working most of April, I'm not working at all in May, and I don't know what's happening in June. I was a little anxious about doing something as simple as paying rent in June or July. Those months coming up are going to be a little worrisome. And one subscriber, I will not name names, helped me take care of that, so I don't have to worry about a month's rent. I wasn't going to cry, and I'm not going to. And I know there's another YouTuber that she's helping out who's also probably facing some uncertain times too. So again, I wonder at my worthiness of the help I've received, but any help I've received has been infinitely, I'm infinitely grateful for, and I'd hope that I would be able to turn around and offer up something in return to some of these people, that they find that it worthy to take care of me and my cats. Yeah, I think so. Those are the best random acts of kindness. Let's see. Let me find another good question. Hold on. All right. So, favorite things to do in Vegas. First, get out of Vegas. Don't bother coming to the Strip. Just don't even do it, honestly. The only reason to stay on the Strip is to stay in a hotel on the Strip, because the hotels are fairly inexpensive. You do have to watch out for the resort fees, because sometimes the resort fees are as much as their hotel room themselves. But if you're from Boston, you know, a night at the Marriott in Boston will cost you $300, and that's normal. In Vegas, you know, a hotel room is really cheap. They're going to get you with this resort fee, but get a hotel room on the Strip, walk up and down the Strip once, and then leave. Just get out of Vegas. Rent a car and drive out to Red Rock. I have a couple of videos where I've visited Red Rock. Visit Red Rock for the day. Don't go in the summer, because it's just like a blowtorch, but it is just mind-bendingly gorgeous for hiking. And then hop in the car the next day, and then drive out to Valley of Fire, which I also have some videos on, which is just something, it's surreal. There's just no way of describing how gorgeous these areas are, particularly Valley of Fire. It's just otherworldly. So if I had to say anything in Las Vegas, all right, so I did lie. I'm lying to you. If you can, and if you are of a certain age and you remember Michael Jackson fondly at all, go to the Michael Jackson 1 concert. Bring tissues, because you will cry. It was so moving. So I would go to see that Michael Jackson show. I've seen Love, the Beatles one. I've seen a couple of these Cirque du Soleil style things, and they were fun. But my friend Tiffany took me to one that was a lot of fun, mostly because I was with her. But the Michael Jackson one was the best. And I guess if buffets ever come back after all this is over, maybe hit a buffet once. But get out of Vegas. Just don't even... It's not even worth it. It really isn't. All right, let me find another question. All right, another question. What games do I play? Right now, I am playing Fallout 4, which is an apocalyptic game set, I don't even know what year, like 2270 something, I don't know. It's 200 years after the world goes into a nuclear war, and you just spend the whole game shooting people and stealing stuff. Yeah, a lot of fun. So Fallout 4 is probably my favorite game. I still play Skyrim, which I've been playing for years and years and years, and I will admit that I play The Sims 4 once in a while. Not all the time, but I really enjoy it. So I play Fallout 4 all the time. I play Fallout 4 right now with this pandemic going on. I play Fallout 4 probably 6 hours a day. Yeah, I could be cleaning my apartment, but I'm playing Fallout 4. Yeah, so those are the games I play right now. Next question. What's the best advice you've received? Well, I've received a lot of advice in my life, and I've, of course, ignored probably the best of it. But the first thing that comes to mind is where are my feet? Where are my feet? Stephen, where are your feet right now? What does that mean? So I have this special superhero skill where I can worry about everything, and I can become so focused on what's going to happen in the future. And right now, with this crisis we're all going through right now, I don't know what my industry is going to look like come October. Well, I have a job in October, and I can sort of spiral down into this, and it's all self-centered, all about me. I can worry about what I need, what I don't have, and blah, blah, blah. I guess I do say blah, blah, blah all the time. That I can really lose focus. And one of my first sponsors said, Stephen, where are your feet right now? What's happening right now? Which leads into the next one is first things first, which is a phrase that we use a lot in recovery. You know, if you start worrying about these big grand problems, everything, you know, this tornado of uncertainty, well, you know, how do I approach this? Just look at the first thing in front of you, one step at a time, one day at a time. And so where are my feet right now? Where am I right now? What's the next right thing I have to do? And that, using those little sayings, has really helped keep me on a path that seems to have been kind of steady, and has been really helpful. I don't know if that made any sense at all, but all right, this question is sort of a flight attendant topic. I know, I'm a flight attendant. You wouldn't know that by my content lately, would you? Sorry. But I have cats. So, question is, what are my favorite ways to start a conversation with a new crew member, a cabin crew member? Well, you know, in the industry, I think it's fairly common these days that we often don't know the people we're flying with. It may be the first time we've flown with these people. Now, I come from a base that has about 700 people, and so the odds are fairly good that I'm going to be working with someone I've never met before. And so you start to ask the same questions all the time. How long have you worked with the airline? I almost said my airline's name. So how long have you worked here? Because I'd like to know, if you've been here 9 years, what keeps you here? Why do you stay here when you potentially could work with another larger legacy airline? Do you commute? So if you, in conversation, it comes up that they live in Portland. Oh, really? What is commuting like? And so there's a whole conversation there. Of course, do you have kids or do you have pets? Is this your first base? Were you always based in Las Vegas? That is, if I'm not working as a chaser. Now, if I'm working as a chaser, I'm flying with a crew that's, for the most part, unless it's the last leg home, for the most part, they're usually based elsewhere. So, so where are you guys based? Oh, what do you like about your base? Blah, blah, blah. So I do say blah, blah, blah all the time. Okay. So those are the ways I usually start a conversation with a new crew member. And it's usually keeping it centered at work, because if you stray too far from work-related topics, it can get a little uncomfortable. As varied and diverse as we are as a group of flight attendants, especially my airline, we're super diverse. You might run into people whose philosophical, yeah. So I've worked with people who I honestly had to really keep it to work-related issues. Otherwise, it would have been very, very uncomfortable. So you do try to keep it work-centered, or talk about pets, family. Do you have any children? So those are the best ways to start a conversation with a new crew member. Staying away from sex, religion, politics, because I've made those mistakes, and always a mistake. So really try to keep it to those topics. Least favorite things that guests or fellow crew do in the airport or on the plane. Wow, so that could be its own separate video, but there's just two things that really would come to the top of those lists. First off, I've seen flight attendants do this in the jump seat. I've seen passengers do it in the gate. I've seen them do it on the airplane, and it is the most vile thing, and it makes me so upset. Clipping your nails in public. Don't do it, because clip, and God help you if a piece of shrapnel from your hand or your foot comes anywhere near me. I've seen them do it. There are a couple of things we really have to do at home, and clipping your nails is the number one. And a real close second is wearing headphones. Now, if you're in the airport, and this is a heads up, and I should maybe do a video about this whole topic, but if you're in the airport, in the gate area, you're waiting for your flight, and you're wearing headphones, rocking out to some tunes, yay, you don't hear the gate change announcement, I'll promise you. And you'll look up 20 minutes later going, where's my flight? Wait, where's everybody? We're not supposed to, in my airline, we're not supposed to wear headphones at all when we're in uniform. Not at all. If we're in uniform in the airport, not supposed to wear them. On the airplane, God help you, not supposed to wear them. But they do. I've worked with flight attendants who wore headphones and they're rocking to some music or listening to friends and talking like this to people who aren't in the room on the airplane, and you react like, oh, I'm sorry, what? And they're not talking to you. They're talking to somebody else and it's just rude. I think it's just rude. And when passengers wear headphones on the aircraft, especially in the first 10 or 15 minutes when we're doing boarding, where we may have questions for you, we may be doing our safety demo, and I just wish that people wouldn't wear headphones on the airplane for the first maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And I certainly wish people wouldn't wear them at the gate, only because so often there are delays, announcements for delays. There are gate changes all the time. They're calling your zone. They're calling for pre-boarding. There's all sorts of things happening in the airport. And you really want to be able to hear it. You may have left your laptop at security, and the PA is yelling, "Oh, Mr. Smith, if you left your laptop at security, please go back to," and you left your laptop. You realize that when you're on the airplane and you're scrambling to get off the plane to get to security, to get your laptop, and can you hear? No. So clipping your nails and wearing headphones are my two pet peeves that I see people do on the plane on the airport. I was going to get really impassioned about that, wasn't I? All right, another flight attendant topic. Am I treated differently while deadheading or traveling in uniform versus leisure clothing? So yes, sometimes when you're in uniform and you're approaching that boarding door, typically the crew sees you coming on board, whether it's your airline or another one. And it's a sense of, oh, hey, hi, you're greeting one of your own, because we do the same job for the most part. So it's definitely a different sense when you're boarding the aircraft. And I always try to bring a little something with me, especially when traveling with a different airline. A little treat to say thank you to the crew. And if it's appropriate timing, I don't want to bust into the flight deck, but if it's an appropriate time, definitely saying hi to the captain or the flight crew and letting everyone know where you're sitting in the event that they need any assistance on the flight. Otherwise, it's funny. I think that passengers that sit around me when I'm either deadheading or traveling in uniform, because sometimes I travel in uniform when I'm not deadheading, because I do find it to be easier to get through KCM, our security, and I think I am treated a little bit better when I'm in uniform, especially by crew. But sometimes you get some passengers who are sitting near you who either like to chat you up because they have lots of questions about flight attendants and they're super friendly, or there are people sitting around you who see your airline and like to talk smack about your airline, and they'd like to sit really close and say things just loud enough so you can hear it. Like, okay, I'll see you next week. So traveling in leisure clothes, I do in the summertime typically, because I don't want to wear my uniform, but I typically wear my uniform when I'm traveling, even for leisure, because it is easier to get through security. When I'm in uniform and I go through KCM, which is our special security, I have no restrictions really on what I can carry as long as it's legal, right? But I could have a whole suitcase full of Diet Coke if I want. But if I'm out of uniform and I get randomly searched, I have to be held to the same restrictions as any other passenger. So I do like to travel in uniform. And my uniform isn't that complicated. It's a short sleeve shirt and a pair of pants. We have a long sleeve version. I don't like the long sleeve shirt. Am I treated any differently? Yeah, I think that's the answer. Okay, the next question is about pottery. Do I still get to do pottery? No, I do not. Pottery requires my pottery. I am a wheel thrower, so the wheel is sitting in front of you. It's spinning really crazy. You throw a piece of wet clay on there, and you just transform it into something gorgeous or practical, whatever. It's my favorite thing in the world. I do love to hand build as well, but I find throwing to be much more satisfying. Or I'll throw something and then alter it with some hand building. And so that's definitely my shtick. But I don't do pottery right now because I don't have a wheel. I don't have a studio. I don't have a kiln to fire my work. And it just requires a lot of prep work. It requires a lot of, it's just a huge investment. One day down the road in my fantasy world, I have my own house, fantasy world, with a big garage, which is just my pottery studio. And that is, that's my fantasy, is to have my own little studio. So clay pottery isn't something I can do at home at all. But I just pulled up this website and I knew about it. I just hadn't thought about it in a while. There's a place called Clay Arts Vegas. And it's just got the worst website. It's a horrible website. They really need to go to Wix or something and create a website, because this is just painful. But they have, it looks like they've got an open studio available. So their membership, annual membership is $240. So I think I'm going to look into this. I might look into it after October. I'm going to say that because I don't know what's going to happen in October. We just heard I just heard a little rumor that our airline may be smaller come October. I don't know what that means to me. But after October, I make sure I have my job and everything is good. I'm thinking about doing this. This is something I would like to do. They have a membership for $240. That's a year's membership for $240. And from what I understand, because the website is horrible, they have an independent studio, which I assume is an open studio space where you have individual storage spots, is available to you as long as you're enrolled in an 8-week class. So their 8-week pottery classes, classes meet once a week for 8 weeks. And during those 8 weeks, with a membership, I'd be able to really go in whenever I wanted to either take part in a class or work independently. So that's $240 for the year, and then $130 every 8 weeks. So it's, and I want to say some firing is included. I have to assume some firing of pieces is included with that. Some places make you pay to load a whole kiln full of your work, but I don't know. But this is something I'm going to look into after October. And if I do it, you'll be seeing a lot of my pottery and work there. So cross your fingers for me in October. I really want to keep my job. I love my job. But if I get to keep my job, I'm thinking of doing this. Let's keep going. Are you with me? All right. So do I ever notice other airline staff treat me differently because I work for a low-cost airline? It's happened twice that I can remember that I've been treated poorly, I think. Maybe because I work for some airline that the other crew didn't see as worthwhile. I'm trying to phrase that nicely. It's happened once on 2 different legacy airlines. There are 3 big airlines, legacies, right? Delta, American, United. It didn't happen on Delta. I was just treated, I really felt like a second-class person. And it wasn't that I was flying for leisure. I was actually deadheading, where my airline actually has to purchase a seat. The ticket was purchased. It wasn't like I'm flying on their dime. In the case of one, literally it started with the gate agent and it just continued on the entire flight. I'm in uniform. I brought treats, as is common. And I mean, the ticket agent literally flipped my boarding pass at me across the counter. And I was like, whoa, okay, thanks, you know. And it just got worse and worse and worse from there. And another case, it was literally, it almost felt like Mean Girls, you know, coming on board, and the two people who were up in front, the two crew members that were up in front, literally looked at each other and was like this. So yes, it's happened, but it's only happened twice in 3 years, and that's fine. When I see flight attendants from other airlines, especially Legacy Airlines, I'm super nice to all of them, and usually it's easy. The people who typically work for one particular airline, that's a Legacy airline, and I really shouldn't say who it is as much as I want to. When I see them come on my plane to commute, they're usually nice enough, but they typically really isolate. I don't know what it is about this one airline. They don't interact with us very often. If they're with like Southwest or SkyWest or American, for some reason, they're awfully nice when they're on our planes. But there's another airline that they always seem to kind of just not want to have anything to do with us. That's fine. That's fine. This is a great one. Do I have a favorite comeback to comments like, I have to pay for water, soda, coffee, snacks? Yes. So my airline, we charge for everything. We charge for a bottle of water. We charge for a can of soda, juice, and our snacks. So do I have a favorite comeback? No, because a comeback for me is going to imply a little snappy comeback and clapback, and I can't. That's just not something I'm allowed to do. I've seen it happen, but it's not something I can do. So no, I don't have a favorite comeback, but I do come back with, oh, you know, unfortunately we do charge for everything. I'm sorry. Is there anything I can get you? Now, I'll say sometimes, well, you know, you do pay for it, but it's a full can of soda. We give you the whole can, a whole bottle of water, and our snacks are all full size. The Rice Krispie snack is bigger than your head. And I'll laugh because, you know, the free snacks that you'll get on another airline is like half a plastic cup of water or soda, or a little mini bag of 6 pretzels. Southwest, you get super lucky. You might get a whole package of those little Belvita biscuit things. So yes, you do pay for it, but it's all full size and they're kind of fun. But I don't have a comeback, because if I start coming back with things, it's going to just escalate and it won't be good. Because I have a mouth. I really do. It's not, hopefully you'll never hear it, but I do have a mouth. Do I read? Flight attendants always read. It's one of the few things we're allowed to do. So yes, I read. My favorite author is Stephen King. I've read almost everything he's ever put out. There's only one thing I think I didn't read, like The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon or some stupid story like that. I love Stephen King. I love everything he's done. But I'll read anything that is good horror, but I love science fiction. Alastair Reynolds is probably one of my favorite science fiction authors. Stephen Baxter, also one of my favorite science fiction authors. Stephen Baxter has got a crazy mind. He's so out there. And Alastair Reynolds, he's a physicist who writes fiction, and his universe is complete. It's fantastic stuff. But those are my favorite authors. Another question, do I ever think of becoming an in-flight instructor for being a flight attendant? Yes, I would love that down the road. Probably, maybe not as long as 10 years, but maybe 3 or 4 years from now, I would think about it, because I can be an instructor and then go back to flying really whenever I want. So I could be an instructor for 6 months or a year and then go back to flying. So it's not a position you have to go to and then just never fly again. So I would be an in-flight instructor. I would maybe test the waters by becoming a recurrent instructor. So I would help lead people through recurrent. and that would maybe be a great way to test the waters. But yes, I would like that. And the last question, because there's a couple other things here where that would take like a 3-hour long video. So this last question, when done with service on the plane, what do you do? Some carriers have a list of things that you are required to do. Some allow phones, some don't. What keeps you busy in the air when there's no service and you have 2 hours left in the air? So we are not allowed to have our phones on us on the aircraft when there are passengers on board. Just if anyone from corporate saw it, any of the instructors saw it, anybody sees your cell phone, you're done for. Are cell phones used on airplanes by flight attendants? Yes, happens all the time. Are you supposed to do it? No, you're not. Are you in trouble if you get caught? Yes, you will. Do passengers literally take pictures of you on your jump seat with your phone? Yes, they do. Someone's always watching. But have I seen flight attendants watching a movie with their headphones in on a flight? Yes, I've seen it. I've seen it. So you'd be a friend and say, listen, stop. But what do you do? So we're not allowed to use our cell phones. We do have a tablet, our work device, which we're allowed a particular very small set of apps on that device. One is Sudoku, which I've discovered I hate. And then there's Solitaire, which I play a lot of Solitaire. But we also are allowed to read on our device. It was a Kindle app. And so I have all of my Kindle books on my device as well. So I read a lot on my device. I think that's about all I do with my work device is play Solitaire and read. We can also read paper-bound books, but honestly, they sometimes take up so much space in my bag that I just rather have a book on my device. But my favorite way to spend that time on the aircraft when we're not doing service is chatting with my guests or taking care of our guests. Often enough, it happens on every flight. There's a few people sprinkled through the length of the aircraft that you just seem to click with. And you can stop and just have little chats and little conversations with people. There's always going to be a mom traveling with a little baby who needs a little bit of care. There's always going to be a little old lady who's chilly or maybe is traveling by herself and wouldn't mind to talk to someone for a few minutes. There's just always someone to talk to. There's always a flight attendant to talk to. Frequently enough, we don't know each other at all. We're strangers, and you fall into conversations. These days, there's lots to talk about with so much going on in the industry. But usually reading, playing a game, or chatting, there's always something to clean. I don't always do it, but there's always something way to maintain your galley. So if you're in one of the two galleys, cleaning up, eating, we all snack a lot on the aircraft, so there's always eating. It takes up time. And then, 2 hours on an aircraft isn't a long time, especially at the end of the flight. The last 45 minutes, the last hour or 45 minutes is usually fairly busy for us in terms of collecting trash and just getting the aircraft ready for landing. So 2 hours might sound like a long time. It's really an hour because I got lots to do for that last hour of the flight. And I think that is it for tonight. I know this was my intent was to have this be a short video, but I got to talking. There you go. I have some other questions Amy has left me here. If you have questions of your own, leave a comment below. I'll try and add that to a future question and answer video. I love question and answer videos because I love to talk. So there you go. I will see you guys later. Hopefully my skin will be vastly improved by then. Okay, take care. I'll talk to you later. Fly safe. Bye.